The Lord be with you.
And also with you.
Hear the gospel of our Lord Jesus Christ, according to Matthew.
Glory to you, O Lord.
When he came to the other side, to the country of the Gadarenes, 2 demoniacs coming out of the tombs met him. They were so fierce that no one could pass that way. Suddenly they shouted, "What have you to do with us, Son of God? Have you come here to torment us before the time?" Now a large herd of swine was feeding at some distance from them. The demons begged him, "If you cast us out, send us into the herd of swine." And he said to them, "Go." So they came out and entered the swine, and suddenly the whole herd rushed down the steep bank into the lake and perished in the water. The swineherds ran off, and on going into the town, they told the whole story about what had happened to the demoniacs. Then the whole town came out to meet Jesus, and when they saw him, they begged him to leave their neighbourhood. This is the gospel of the Lord.
Praise to you, O Christ.
Been watching and listening and thinking about how people are responding at the moment. We're seeing a whole range of different reactions, different feelings, different emotions expressed as we move forward from the lockdown into the new normal. And as I've been thinking about those things, I read this morning's gospel reading and was slightly at first taken aback by the last sentence. We hear of Jesus healing 2 people possessed of unclean spirits, 2 demoniacs. He does it by sending the evil spirits into the herd of swine who run away and drown. The swineherds rush off to tell the local people what has happened. And you expect the last sentence to be, the people came to Jesus and they worshipped and thanked him. But instead, they come to Jesus and beg him to leave their neighbourhood. Been pondering what might have led to that request for him to leave. And I suspect it's similar to the reason behind many of the emotions and reactions that people are experiencing at the moment. It was fear. Fear of the unknown. Fear of things that they can't control. Fear of something they don't understand. The last couple of days for us here have been rather frustrating. Our beloved IT equipment hasn't quite been functioning as reliably as it has been up till now. And we found ourselves getting frustrated. I won't say angry, but we got close to it because it wouldn't do what it was meant to do. And so we find ourselves only able to stream to YouTube and not to YouTube and Facebook and do all the things we normally do. Why were we getting angry at a piece of equipment? Because we don't really understand it. We don't really have control over it in the way that we think we should. And what's true of a simple piece of technology is also true of life. That when we don't feel that we understand what's happening, when we're confronted by the unknown or the strange, then perhaps the overriding emotion is one of fear, of wanting it to go away, of wanting to run away from it and do something else and pretend that all is okay, of wanting somehow to establish a sense of peace and normality. In that gospel reading, it is Jesus who is in control. It is Jesus who is the one who faces the fear, who addresses those things which would unsettle others, the demoniacs. It is Jesus who speaks to them and resolves the situation. We can sometimes be frightened, as those villagers were who come to see him. We can sometimes feel that all is not as it should be. We can sometimes feel out of control. But in those dark times, in those times when we want things to not be as they are, perhaps we need to look to see Jesus speaking to us, to see Jesus seeking to reassure us and to tell us that all is well if we place ourselves in his hands that he will guide us through the uncertainties and the unknowns, that he will bring a sense of peace and of calm in the midst of the busyness and the rush and the tear and the chaos that can seem to surround us and threaten to overwhelm us. So as we continue to respond in a variety of ways to the changing world in which we now live, let us pray that we may replace our fear with trust, that we may place our uncertainty with hope, that we may be reassured and comforted to know that Christ walks with us and will guide us as we take our next steps.